Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Supershow. Top story this week is, of course, Gen Con. Gen Con was this weekend, Thursday, July 31st through Sunday, August 3rd. It is Sunday night as I'm recording this. I will give you what I have about the new releases, the events, the featured matches, talk about my thoughts overall on the con. I'm going to start out talking about the new releases. They had announced 6 new competitors releasing. 3 old school competitors, 3 non-old school competitors. From what I could tell, the 3 old school competitors that were released were the Latin Lover, Swindle Heat, Big Rig Daddy Dig, and Ray Zerblade. I had seen the Latin Lover, Swindle Heat, and Ray Zerblade before. I think I'd seen Big Rig Daddy Dig before too. Big Rig Daddy Dig is obviously based on Kevin Nash. Ray Zerblade on Scott Hall / Razor Ramon. The Latin Lover Swindle Heat based on Eddie Guerrero. These were the 3 old school competitors. The other 3 competitors were Goldlust, Bale, and a new version of Luna Bellatrix. Now, I made a statement a bit ago talking about the 3 old school competitors being the first 3 I mentioned, because honestly, Goldlust could be considered, and I expect it will be, part of the old school division. It's an alternate version of Harvey Luster, but it's clearly based on Goldust. From WWE, all of the wrestlers I mentioned before, from WWE or WCW. Actually, I believe all 3 were in both. Goldust, I imagine, while billed as not old school, I believe this is going to be an old school competitor. Those were, from what I could tell, the 6 they talked about. There was a competitor that was released I did not expect to see the first day I was there, the Centipede John Von Masek. Those were the 7 competitors that were there day 1. There was another competitor that was released during the con, I want to say Saturday. Cassandra. Cassandra, created by everyone's enemy Joel Williams, part of the Refinery. There was a bit of a vote. I didn't really participate in this online for what competitors should be released. Out of a number of competitors going from memory, some of those were Ron Rumble, Saturday Night Rumble. I believe there was a version of Meta in there. I want to say there was a Just Business version of Jason Fauson that was there. I want to say Professional Wiseman. Again, I'm just going from memory from those. A number of competitors. Cassandra apparently won. She received the most feedback that people wanted her out, so she is out. She was available for sale at Gen Con. I have not done a deep dive into these competitors. I know that Bale is the Wonderland Gang version of the prizefighter Simon Davner. I mentioned Goldlust being a Harvey Luster alternative. There's been a lot of talk about the Latin Lover Swindle Heat, his gimmick, which allows you to 3 times per match prevent an opponent from playing a finish against you. There's an entrance that allows you to change that from 3 times to 5 times. Makes it very hard to hit finishes against him. I saw him used in singles. I saw him used in tag to great effect. I predict he might be the one we see the most use of coming out of this Gen Con release. There had been quite a bit of talk about Ray Zerblade's gimmick before this. I did not see a lot of Ray Zerblade. The Latin Lover Swindle Heat is the competitor I recall seeing the most of the new competitors played at Gen Con. There was a bundle of new cards. I have not really done a big look into that. So there were new entrances. new 1 through 27s. The one that stood out to me, the entrance LFF Means Love for Family, art by Jeremy Steigerwald, Player of the Year. After you or your target roll these printed skills for your turn roll, 5, 6, 6, that player draws one card. From what I can tell, that will be able to be used multiple times per match. I think we may see some interesting uses of this entrance. There was also a separate entrance, Never Settle for Less Than El Diablo. I talked about that previously. That released as well. El Diablo was there at the con, so you could meet her. I believe she came around Saturday during the Gen Con World Championship Tournament. So you had the chance, if you were there, to meet her at Gen Con. There were a number of daily promos. Highland Headbutt on Thursday, Spinning Arm Drag. Friday, Sunset Sleeper Hold on Saturday. Title Belt Shot on Sunday. Title Belt Shot was an alt art of a card that already existed. The other three were new cards in a line. They all had the same opening sentence. Draw the bottom two cards of your deck. The second sentence was different on each one. If either player rolls strike for their turn roll is -1 on the strike. Same sentence but grapple on the grapple. Same sentence but submission on the submission. These were follow-ups at 22, 23, and 24. Those were the daily promos. There were also sign-up promos. Now, there was something weird with the sign-up promos. They had announced the sign-up promos prior to this. The sign-up promos were 3 follow-ups at the 22, 23, and 24 slots, forearm to the face, a strike, walking suplex, a grapple, and full Nelson neck snap, a submission. They all have the first sentence, the same first sentence. Add 2 cards from your discard pile to your hand. They all have a variation of the second sentence. For the strike, it's if either player rolls strike for their finish roll, their finish roll is -1. For the grapple, same text, but grapple instead of strike. For the submission, same text, but submission as the listed skill. There was also a new entrance released for tag teams. I talked about this previously. Valiant Teamwork. Now, I expected, with there being 4 events, and there were 4 events at Gen Con, a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon, that each of those 4 promos would be the sign-up promo for an event. So, for example, the Thursday night sign-up promo was forearm to the face. The Friday night sign-up promo was the Valiant Teamwork entrance. The Saturday night sign-up promo was walking suplex. But for the Sunday event, the sign-up promo wasn't the full Nelson neck snap. It was an entrance that was released at Origins, an undisputed tag victory with the Animal Kingdom. The full Nelson neck snap was actually a sign-up promo for impromptu draft events. This was a complete surprise to me. I don't know why you would advertise 4 sign-up promos, and instead of having 1 sign-up promo at each of the events, decide we'll use an old promo for the last event, and then make one of the advertised sign-up promos for non-advertised events that were not listed on Gen Con's website. Instead, they would just be impromptu draft events if people wanted to participate. Very strange decision. I don't understand it. It wasn't a decision I would ever make. I don't get it. It was weird. It was a weird decision to make. Now, I had been talking about the events not being on Gen Con's website for weeks. They finally showed up on Gen Con's website. 3 of the events were listed Wednesday night. The Thursday singles event with the top 96 booked. The Saturday World Gen Con Tournament singles event open. And the Sunday tag team event where you signed up with your partner. The Friday event was not listed until Friday. The Friday Random Partner Tag Team event did not get listed until Friday. Again, the whole situation with the event listing, I think the event listing situation could have been handled a lot better. I suspect that the delay in the events was due to the Super Lucha product shipment delay. I think, though, in the case of something like Gen Con, you have to get the schedules for these things out early. People are looking to plan their convention experiences as soon as possible. And while I can understand you want to see maybe what product you're going to get into before you list your events, at a certain point, you have to say people need time to plan, and you have to get it out earlier rather than later. So hopefully, and this is what I would recommend with events, get them out earlier rather than later. Again, I understand why this happened, or at least why I suspect this happened. I just think that going forward, this needs to be better addressed. I feel like I've said this multiple times throughout the years on this show. People need time to make plans. Getting information out as early as possible is the best policy. People need to know when the events are so they can schedule where they're going to be, at what times, in one place. Another issue with the scheduling I'll bring up, since we're talking about it, because of the lateness of the schedule, they were bouncing events all over Gen Con. All the Thursday events, and this includes Learn to Play events, they did get Learn to Play events listed on the website too. There were Learn to Play events on Gen Con's website. The Learn to Play events for Thursday, the Thursday tournament, and the Learn to Play events for Friday took place at different locations in Lucas Oil Stadium. The Friday tournament, the Saturday events, and the Sunday events all took place at various locations in the gaming hall. There was not one space where Supershow held events. There'd be multiple spaces throughout the day. I don't think a single event was held at the same space. Even if they were in the same hall, they weren't at the same tables, which is also a strange thing. Now, outside of the scheduling issues and the play space issues related to scheduling, the events pretty much ran smoothly. Brian Waitford-Schmidt was the general manager of Gen Con. He ran all of the events. He ran the Learn to Play events. He ran the drafts, the impromptu drafts that popped up. He ran all of those. He did a pretty good job doing that. There were some time issues, again, like there were at Origins. All of the events for the night were scheduled for 5 p.m. The Sunday event was scheduled for 11 a.m. None of the events started on time. The most egregious being Saturday. It didn't start until, I want to say, 6, maybe even after 6, just going from memory. Part of that is because they wanted to get some featured matches in. Again, I'm not a fan of this. If you're going to advertise an event starting at 5, you should try to do your best to get the event started at 5. I know for Sunday, the event was scheduled for 11 a.m. They asked people to be there at 10:30 a.m., and I don't think the event started until after 11:15 a.m. Now, the time thing's been a reoccurring issue, and I understand wanting to give players a grace period. It's just a complicated issue. The event should start on time or as close to on time as possible, especially when you have limited time, but you don't want to basically have someone show up late and essentially get kicked, told they can't play. It's a weird situation. For me, I would like to see the events start closer to the advertised time. I don't like sitting around waiting for an hour. An hour I could have been enjoying other parts of the convention, sitting around waiting for the event to start. You only have, in the case of Gen Con, 4 days to explore. an hour delay in an event start is another event you could have done. There are hour-long events. Someone could have done a 5 o'clock event and been on time for the Saturday night tournament. Again, it's complicated because I know you want to provide players with a grace period, with some cushion. At a certain point, it's too much cushion. At a certain point, things just need to start. 10-minute, 15-minute grace period, acceptable, understandable. 60-minute grace period, too much. Just too much. I don't mean to come across as incredibly negative. Those were really the only criticisms I have of the events. It's just a problem that SRG Universe has not been able to solve. I don't know if they'll ever be able to solve it. I would like to see them solve it. But the events went well outside of that. Once they got started, they ran smoothly. Let's start talking about those events and featured matches. I'm going to go in as close to chronological order as I can. Now, I will say the first thing I saw happen was a Play True 24/7 championship match. I did not get to see the match. From what I understand, Pat Mulligan, Hall of Famer, was the first 24/7 Play True champion. I actually did not see or hear anything about the Play True championship after that. I don't know if he had other matches defending it. I don't know if it just got lost in the shuffle. Again, weird situation because SRG Universe did not have a home base, a set play space where you could always go and find Super Show players like there was last year. I think that might have affected that, but I really don't know. I don't know what happened with the Play True Championship, 24/7 championship that is, after that match. Didn't hear a single thing about it. So now let me move on to Thursday. I'll start with the Thursday Gen Con Singles Tournament World Division, Underworld Division competitors booked. 20 players signed up for the tournament. They had Swiss rounds. 4 rounds of Swiss, 35-minute time limit. Once the time limit was reached, gimmicks would be blanked, crowd meter would go all the way to crowd meter 5. These were all standard singles matches in the Swiss rounds. I do not know if anyone actually went to time. But 4 rounds of Swiss. After those 4 rounds, they cut to a top 8. There were a number of 2-2 players, 8 overall, that were on the bubble. Only 2 of those players could advance to the top 8. So we had essentially speed rounds. The 8 players were put into 4 singles matches. The first 2 winners would advance to the top cut. I was one of those players. Unfortunately, I did not advance to the top cut. I played as fast as I could, but just could not get a win. Apparently, from what I saw in the online comments, we actually had quite long speed round matches. Not very speedy from what I saw in the comments. Now, I did not write down, and I apologize for this, the competitors and the players that advanced to the top cut from the speed rounds. What I can tell you was that the matchups in the top 8 were 12 Grap Matt as the Defector versus Ricky Riot as the Perfect Assistant, the Grim Librarian as the second version of the Grim Librarian versus Loudmouth Leo Larynx as Sticky the Salamander Sailboat, Bob Dunn as Steel Wool versus Mike Benton as Alex Kane, and Rowdy Ron as the second version of the Duke versus the Spice Lord Brian Ogazelic as the second version of Velvet Assassin. All of these matches in the quarterfinals were no disqualification matches. The winners were Ricky Riot, the Grim Librarian, Bob Dunn, and Rowdy Ron. So in the semifinals, we had Rowdy Ron versus Bob Dunn and Ricky Riot versus the Grim Librarian in Psycho Circus matches. The winners Bob Dunn, and the Grim Librarian. So the Grim Librarian, as the second version of himself, took on Bob Dunn as Steel Wool in a tables match. We also had a third place match where Rowdy Ron, as the second version of the Duke, faced Ricky Riot as the Perfect Assistant in a steel cage match. Both of these matches did not go past crowd meter 0. The winner of the steel cage match, taking third place, was Ricky Riot. The winner of the finals between Bob Dunn and the Grim Librarian was the Grim Librarian, Ken Fouché. Now, there had been an announcement from the general manager of the United States division that the player who went the furthest in this tournament using a United States division competitor would get a shot at the LFF United States Championship with that competitor. The person who did that was the Grim Librarian. Ken Fouché used his own competitor, a United States division competitor, and won the tournament, so he gets that shot at a championship, which will happen later on in the convention. I'll talk about that when I get to it chronologically. That's what I have for Thursday. Friday, I have a little information about one of the new player events. I don't have a lot about the new player events. I can tell you that there were 8 players in the Friday morning new player event. The winner went undefeated with quadruple H. I don't have his name. There was also a draft on Thursday. 4 players in the draft. They drafted from 1 mystery box and 3 of the new player single player decks. These were things like the EDM, Witch Hunter General, Shield Maiden, those decks. They drafted out of that Bob Dunn, Colby Cram, Pat Mulligan, and Ken Fouché, with the winner of that draft using Jordan Oliver as his competitor, the chosen one, Colby Cram. Congratulations for winning the Friday draft. Friday night, we have the Gen Con Tag Team Tournament with random partners. Each player signs up. They are randomly assigned a tag team partner, and they play in the tournament. We had 22 players in the tournament, 11 randomly paired teams. They would essentially play effectively bullet rounds. Each team would have their match. When that match was over, as soon as possible, they would get paired up into new matches. When a team had accrued its second loss, they would be eliminated from the tournament. If a team won 3 games, they made the top cut. After everything was said and done, 4 teams ended up making the top cut. In the first semifinal match, we had the tag team of Math Guy and yours truly. Math Guy was playing as the Unreal American Hunk Homeland. I was playing as King Hyena. Take on the chosen one, Colby Cram, playing as Mrs. Apocalypse, and a new player, Brandon Paget, playing as King Brian Cage. That match ended up going to Crowd Meter 3. The winners at Crowd Meter 3, moving on to the finals, the Math Guy and myself. We made the finals of the random tag team tournaments. The other semifinal match in the tournament was the team of Jared Bridge playing as ELF and the Foreman playing as Vampire Hunter Foreman. That's right, there was a Unionverse team that ended up being randomly paired. They faced the team of TJ Wheeler playing as Captain Rustbelt and Logan Fosnaw playing as Danny Limelight. These were new players. I believe they learned the game on Thursday, came back, signed up for the random tag, and they make it to the top cut. This match goes to Crowd Meter 2. The winners advancing to the finals, TJ Wheeler and Logan Fosnaw. So we have the new player team, TJ Wheeler as Captain Rustbelt, Logan Fosnaw as Danny Limelight, versus Math Guy as the Unreal American Hunk Homeland, and myself as King Hyena. This match goes to crowd meter 1. And while I would like to say I walked away with another Gen Con tournament victory, unfortunately, that was not the case. The new players able to hit a finish neither of us had the stop for. And at crowd meter 1, they win. Congratulations to them. I believe I said congratulations to Ken Fouché as well. I apologize if I didn't. Congratulations now while I'm thinking about it. But congratulations to these new players. As a result, they will face the winners of the second tag team tournament. And I'll talk about that later. The winners of that match will get a future shot at the LFF Tag Team Championship. That was Friday. Saturday, we have our first featured match on Saturday. This is for the LFF United States Championship. We have the Grim Librarian, who won the tournament on Thursday, playing as the new version of the Grim Librarian, versus the champion Ref Dave, playing as Piglet. Now, I had been talking about Rowdy Ron getting a shot at the United States Championship. There had been a tournament on a Monday night a few weeks back. I want to say the winner, going from memory, was the Starbreaker, Trey Cantrell. I apologize if that's incorrect. But the winner was not going to be at Gen Con. And so Rowdy Ron, who was the runner-up, was going to go to Gen Con, and he was supposed to get a shot. However, he already had a shot at the Trios Championship. And so, from what I understand, his shot was delayed. I don't think it was gotten rid of completely, just delayed until later. They didn't want to give him 2 featured matches at Gen Con. That's my understanding. Instead, we have the Grim Librarian taking on champion Ref Dave. This was a long match. Although it does not go past crowd meter 0. It's a long crowd meter 0 match. The winner at crowd meter 0, still champion, Ref Dave. Congratulations to Ref Dave for a successful defense. This was followed up with another featured match, also featuring Ref Dave. This was for the Midwest Coast Championship. Ref Dave was the challenger. He had to use a World or Underworld Division competitor. He chose the bad boy Joey Janela. I, of course, was champion going into Gen Con. I was champion with DJ Outlaw. I believe he's a hardcore division competitor that was chosen for me by the previous champion, Matt Nealon. This match ended up being a long match. It was over 45 minutes. It was a very tough, hard-fought match. It went to crowd meter 1. In the end, the winner getting hot at the right time, as happens so often in these matches, new champion, Ref Dave. Congratulations to Ref Dave for becoming the new Midwest Coast champion. Sad day for me. I was happy to be a champion once again. Unfortunately, now that my fluke championship is gone, I am back to being, of course I never was unbanned, but I'm back to being lifetime banned, out of the championship picture for the foreseeable future. Maybe that'll change. I'd hoped it would go on. I'd get to be champion a little bit longer, but it's been cut short. Ref Dave, the Midwest Coast champion. Congratulations to Ref Dave. The third featured match for Saturday was for the UCW Championship. The challenger, Ricky Riot, playing as Theo the Greek Neo, the original version, but the 2020 version, because the original version has had a change to the gimmick. The champion, Rowdy Ron, playing as Father Light. Standard singles match. It ends up going to crowd meter 2. The winner at crowd meter 2, still champion, Rowdy Ron. Congratulations to Rowdy Ron for a successful defense. There was a draft after this on Saturday. Ref Dave, Ricky Riot, the Flame Fighter, and the Mad Custodian were in the draft. They drafted from 3 grand packs and 1 of the single player, new player decks. The winner of this draft, Ref Dave. Congratulations to Ref Dave for winning the Saturday afternoon draft. After this, we have another featured match. This was for the Veterans Championship. Evan Harris, the challenger with back curtain. Jacob Denmark, the champion with the Mad Custodian. This was a very lopsided match in favor of the champion. It ends up going to crowd meter 1. The challenger only had 2 turns. The winner, as makes sense in a lopsided match like this, hitting the finish grapple, Jacob Denmark. Congratulations to Jacob Denmark for successful defense of the Veterans Championship. This brings us to the Saturday night event. The event was in part delayed for the 2 championship matches I'm about to talk about. The opening match of the Saturday night Gen Con slate was for the LFF Underworld Championship. This was a Beast Unchained match. The challenger, Brian Wait For It Schmidt, playing as Deathmatch King Matt Cardona. Now, Deathmatch King Matt Cardona is currently a World Division character, and normally would not be eligible to play for the Underworld Championship. But, back during the previous Faction Wars, when the competitors were chosen for that Faction Wars, Deathmatch King Matt Cardona was an Underworld Division competitor. And the Crime Wave faction won Faction Wars with Brian Wait For It Schmidt playing as Deathmatch King Matt Cardona. And so, for that win, he gets a shot with Deathmatch King Matt Cardona for the Underworld Championship. The champion, Ricky Riot, champion with the Master Strategist, having just won the championship a couple of weeks earlier on Sunday Night Fights. Again, this was a Beast Unchained match. It ends up going to crowd meter 1. The winner at crowd meter 1, winning with a death by elbow, unstoppable, generic finish, new LFF Underworld Champion, Brian Wait For It Schmidt. Congratulations to Brian Wait For It Schmidt for winning the LFF Underworld Championship. The second championship match before the Sunday night Gen Con World Championship Tournament was for the LFF Trios Championship. The challenger, Rowdy Ron, playing as the Refinery, the version featuring him in the art. The champion, Sean Loeb, the Collector, playing as the League of Extraordinary Grapplers. This match was, from what I recall, pretty decent length. It ends up going to crowd meter 2. The winner at crowd meter 2, still champion, the Collector Sean Loeb. Congratulations to the Collector for successful defense. Now, it had been announced that the next challenger for the LFF Trios Championship was going to be the big guy getting his shot at Grand Gathering in September. That is no longer the case. After this match, the Trio's general manager, Chris Bagillo, the Italian Bombata, announced that Candyman is going to be getting a shot at the championship against the Collector Sean Loeb at some point between now and Grand Gathering. Don't know when that's going to happen. Don't know what competitor she's going to use. But Candyman has jumped the line, been given a shot ahead of the big guy for the LFF Trios Championship. Now on to the Gen Con World Championship Tournament, singles tournament. All singles competitors legal, subject to 2020 vision. 34 players signed up and played in the tournament. There were 5 rounds of Swiss, and then after those 5 rounds, there was a cut to a top 16. In the opening round of the top cut, all of the matches were steel cage matches. Here were the matches in the top cut of the Gen Con World Championship Tournament. In the first matchup, we have, coming into the top cut undefeated, Rowdy Ron as Ariel Lipstick versus Eric Roth as Dez the Destroyer. In the second match in the top 16, Nick Nimble as Whippo Whip versus Loudmouth Leo Larynx as the flip version of Highwall. In the third match, the Flame Fighter as himself versus the Grim Librarian as himself, the second version of the Grim Librarian. In the fourth match, we have Young Allergy as the Zookeeper versus Mike Benton as the Latin Lover Swindle Heat. The fifth match, the SRG Boss as Bruiser Beans versus James Booker as Macho Manny, the foil version of Macho Manny. In the sixth match, we have JPL as himself versus 12 Grat Matt as Rah Rah Perry. In the seventh match, Ricky Riot as Ricky Riot versus Bob Dunn as Big Bad Bobby D. And the final match of the opening round of the Top Cut, King Greatness as Drunken Master / Zen Master versus the Chosen One, Colby Cram, as the old school version of Cyclone. The winners, Rowdy Ron, Loudmouth Leo Larynx, the Grim Librarian, Mike Benton, James Booker, JPL, Ricky Riot, and Colby Cram. They move on to the quarterfinal round. All of the matches in the quarterfinal round are tables matches. In the opening tables match, we have Rowdy Ron as Aerial Lipstick versus Loudmouth Leo Larynx as Highwater. The Grim Librarian as himself versus Mike Benton as the Latin Lover Swindle Heat. James Booker as Macho Manny versus JPL as himself. And Ricky Riot as Ricky Riot versus Colby Cram as the old school version of Cyclone. The winners going on to the semifinals, Rowdy Ron, Ken Fouché, James Booker, and Colby Cram. So we have, in the semifinal round, 2 Psycho Circus matches. That was the stipulation for the semifinal round. I believe all of these stipulations were chosen at random by Rowdy Ron because Rowdy Ron had been undefeated. Of course, going into the Top Cut, and then every time he won, he continued to be undefeated. I believe he was given a number of piles to pick from, and he chose one at random, and whatever stipulation he chose was the stipulation he used. In the semifinal round, we have James Booker as Macho Manny versus the Chosen One, Colby Cram, as the old school version of Cyclone. This Psycho Circus match goes to Crowd Meter 1 with the winner advancing to the finals, James Booker. In the other semifinal match, we have Rowdy Ron as Aerial Lipstick versus the Grim Librarian as himself. This doesn't go past Crowd Meter 0. The winner also advancing to the finals, Rowdy Ron. So Rowdy Ron, undefeated into the finals as Aerial Lipstick versus James Booker as Macho Manny in a no disqualification match for the finals. That is the stipulation. This was a long match. It goes to Crowd Meter 2. The winner at Crowd Meter 2, winning Gen Con for the first time, and I think winning Gen Con as an undefeated player for the first time, Rowdy Ron. I don't know about that statistic, but Rowdy Ron goes undefeated through all of the Gen Con World Championship Tournament and wins it. Congratulations to Rowdy Ron for winning the Gen Con World Championship Tournament. Something that I don't know if that'll ever be repeated again. Congratulations. Welcome to the list of Gen Con World Championship Tournament winners. Great achievement for Rowdy Ron. This brings us to Sunday. Sunday we have the Gen Con Tag Team Tournament. This is where you signed up with a partner. 8 teams, so 16 players, ended up signing up for this tournament. Each team, I believe, played 3 matches. I know that after the preliminary rounds were done, there was 1 team with an undefeated record of 3-0, 3 teams with a record of 2-1, and so that was the top cut. Clean top cut to a top 4. In the first semifinal match of the top cut, we have the team of the Math Guy and myself. We teamed back up, Math Guy still as the Unreal American Hunk Homeland. I switched it up. I played as the original El Super Hombre. We took on the team known as Grim Thoughts. The Grim Librarian as the second version of himself, and Bob Dunn as Steel Wolf. The winner of this match, advancing to the finals, Grim Thoughts. Congratulations to Bob Dunn and Ken Fouché for advancing to the finals. We were trying to get back to the finals. Again, Math Guy and I just couldn't make it. In the other semifinal match, we had the tag team of Payne Train Express. J.D. Payne playing as Kamea Khan and his son Brix Payne playing as the Heartache Kid. Their opponents, Dangerously Rich. The Chosen One, Colby Cram, playing as Mrs. Apocalypse, and Ricky Riot playing as Ricky Riot. The winning team advancing to the finals, Dangerously Rich. So we have Dangerously Rich versus Grim Thoughts in the finals. From what I understand, this was an extremely short match. I had to step away for a moment. The match hadn't even started yet. By the time I got back, the match had ended at crowd meter 0 with the winning team, Dangerously Rich. So, the Chosen One, Colby Cram, and Ricky Riot will face TJ Wheeler and Logan Fosnaw at a future date, with the winner getting a shot at the LFF Tag Team Championship. They wanted to get that match done after the tournament at Gen Con, but unfortunately, we ran out of time. There just was not enough time to get it done before the end of the convention. So that will happen likely on Sunday Night Fights sometime in possibly September. That's the preliminary estimated time this match will happen, date this match will happen. We will have to see. Of course, it won't be Grand Gathering weekend, but it looks like sometime in September this match will happen. We also had around this time a second defense of the Midwest Coast Championship. Brian Ogazelek, the Spice Lord, my pick for who I should have faced, who should have been my challenger at Gen Con, ends up getting his shot against Ref Dave. Brian Ogazelek uses the second version of Velvet Assassin and challenges Ref Dave, champion with the bad boy Joey Janela, in a standard singles match. This match ends up going to crowd meter 1. The winner, still champion, Ref Dave. Congratulations to Ref Dave, doing something I couldn't do, having a successful defense. That is all the news I have coming out of Gen Con. I talked about the Super Show, releases, events, featured matches. From what I could tell, the booth was always busy. Super Show had a steady flow of people coming to the con. I believe they sold out of all the 10th anniversary box sets. I could be wrong. I believe all they had left was grand packs. I think they may have even sold out of mystery boxes. So good sell-through of sealed product at Gen Con. I know they were demoing Rummy Gummies and Scally Wager as well, although I believe they ended up putting away the Scally Wager demo at some point, just going pretty much all Super Show the Game with a little bit of Rummy Gummies mixed in. The con experience overall, I liked it. I got to try out some new things, learn about some new games. I got to demo some of my old favorites, things I've considered getting into. I enjoyed the experience. I stayed downtown. I hadn't stayed downtown in quite a while. Nice, convenient experience there. Will I do Gen Con next year? Probably. Now, I'll bring this up here. Gen Con and Southern Fried Gaming Expo are going to be the same weekend next year. Preliminary talk from what I was hearing, the scuttlebutt around Gen Con, was that it looks like Gen Con next year is going to be more of a new player-focused scene, more of new player-focused tournaments, and that Southern Fried Gaming Expo is going to be more for established players. Now, we'll have to see how that actually shapes up. That's 2026. We're looking forward almost an entire year. But that's the preliminary thoughts about what might happen next year regarding Gen Con and Southern Fried Gaming Expo. That it looks like Gen Con may be more new player focused, which means the events will be more new player focused. The Southern Fried Gaming Expo events will be more for established, serious players, things of that nature. That's what it's looking like as of right now Again, card subject to change. We're talking about a year out. That was Gen Con 2025. Some other news I have coming out of this week. The next Deep Six Championship match is going to be, again, card subject to change, this Wednesday on Talk of the Universe. John Polverino will take Brutus Bison and challenge the champion, Elder Dan, champion with Titan, for the Deep Six Championship. This is the championship where each player can have no more than 6 stop cards in his deck. That's this championship. We've learned that the next challengers for the LFF Tag Team Championship will be the Duo Decimal System. This is the tag team of the Cannoli and the Grim Librarian. They are cashing in a Master of Ceremonies card to get this shot at the LFF Tag Team Championship. The Mop Boys were going to be the next contenders. They, from what I understand, have been leapfrogged by the Duo Decimal System. From Candy Shop Talk on Friday, which unfortunately I did not get to see, that's where those two news items came from. There's also been a challenge from the Flame Fighter to get a match against Rambo Apocalypse. Rambo Apocalypse has responded and is going to force the Flame Fighter to take on 5 labors of Rambo to get the shot he wants at Rambo Apocalypse. The first labor is going to be taking on Young Allergy in a match, date and time to be determined. I don't know if the Flame Fighter has to win or just face Young Allergy, but that is the first labor the Flame Fighter must face if he wants to get a shot at Rambo Apocalypse. There's also been a joint announcement between the general manager of the Trios division, the Italian Mambata, and the general manager of the tag team division, Candyman, for an upcoming Trios tag team tournament. From what I understand, this will be like your normal 2-player versus 2-player tag team matches, but instead of each player using a singles competitor, they will use a trios competitor. They were looking for 32 people to sign up. If they got 32 people to sign up, each person in the finals of this tournament will get a shot at the LFF Trios Championship. They did get 32 signups. I believe they randomly paired those 32 signups into the tag teams. Those tag teams will be the Collector Sean Loeb and the Big Guy, Simple Chuck and the Enforcer, the Cheetah and Eddie Fury, John Polverino and Commissioner Drew Madsen, Yasmin and Brimelight, Candyman Dan and HR, the Chosen One Colby Cram and Sam Torres, Zach Ashley and Titan, Everyone's Enemy and the Dread Pirate Tech Support, Stephen Overlock and Le Penguin, Brian Wait For It Schmidt and The End, Ron Rumble and Elder Dan, the Tartan Terror and the Flame Fighter, the Nightmare King and the Goat Brock Smith, Split and Rowdy Ron, and the Meeple and the New York Phenom. Those will be the 16 teams in the Trios Tag Team Tournament. I also have some news I missed earlier regarding the Trios Championship. I mentioned that Candyman leapfrogged the Big Guy and was getting a shot at the LFF Trios Championship. That is no longer the case. Because Candyman will not be at Grand Gathering, her shot at the Trios Championship is going to be postponed. Instead, the Collector Sean Loeb will have to defend his championship against Bob Dunn. Bob Dunn using the Trios version of Thinky and the Brain. Bob Dunn won a Trios tournament with unreleased competitor Thinky and the Brains. I think it's Thinky and the Brains. I think Thinky and the Brain is the tornado tag. Thinky and the Brains is the trio. I could be wrong. Again, it's unreleased. He won a shot with the unreleased trio. They were hoping it would be released in time for Bob Dunn to get the shot at Origins. That didn't happen. Didn't happen at Gen Con as far as I know, but it looks like it will happen before Grand Gathering. So, Bob Dunn, when that competitor comes out, will get a shot, and the winner will face the big guy at Grand Gathering. The winner of the Grand Gathering Trios Championship match will face Candyman at a later date. Those are the current updates regarding the championship picture for the LFF Trios Championship. That's what I have outside of the online tournaments and featured matches from this past week. So let me talk about that. I'm going to start Monday with Monday Night Fights. From what I understand, Monday Night Fights was hosted by Sam Torres. Brian Waite-Fortschmidt on his way to Gen Con, so Sam took over hosting duties. 8 players were in this tournament. Group stages, 2 groups, 4 players per group. Each player played the other 3 in the group. Top 2 records per group advanced to the top cuts. The top 4 end up being, in 4th place, playing as Kenta, Chibi. In 3rd place, playing as the original version of Brian Cage. Brian Cage is the effing machine. The prize fighter, Simon Dabner. The finalists, squaring off in a Ring of Fire match, were Rowdy Ron, playing as the new version of the Duke, and Sam Torres, playing as Jean-Dre, the gigantic Grenoble, with the winner, Rowdy Ron. Congratulations to Rowdy Ron for winning Monday Night Fights. Wednesday, we had Ignite on the Big Picture Premium Twitch channel. 2 featured matches on Ignite. The opening match was a contender match for a future shot at the LFF Tornado Tag Team Championship. We had Yasmin playing as SRG Founding Fathers versus Sam Torres as the Betrayal. This match ends up going to crowd meter 4. The winner getting the shot, Yasmin. A little bit of controversy here because there was a miscalculation in the finish roll at crowd meter 0. Sam Torres hit a finish and actually should have won the match with his finish roll, but that was not discovered until after Yasmin broke out. They decided to continue playing. She goes on to win. She is getting the future Tornado Tag Team Championship shot. Will we say something for Sam Torres because of this? Who knows? I think we should. The second match on Ignite was a stacked card challenge match. In this match, we had Ref Dave playing as Stung versus Mr. Pollywood playing as the original version of High Roll. This was a very quick match. It doesn't go past crowd meter 0. The winner, Mr. Pollywood. It was so quick, they decided to do a rematch on stream. The winner, again at crowd meter 0, again Mr. Pollywood. Congratulations to Mr. Pollywood for winning twice. Congratulations to Yasmin for getting the shot, if I forgot to mention it. Thursday, we have Chibi's Birthday Spectacular. 11 players signed up for the Birthday Spectacular. Group stages. 2 groups, 4 players per group. 1 group of 3 players. Each player plays the others in the group. Top 2 players per group advance to the top cut, which was a birdcage match. 6 players in the birdcage. Zach Ashley, Titan, HR, Steven Moonstar, Commissioner Drew Madsen, and Johnny Correa. Your top 3 ended up being in 3rd place, playing as Steel Wool, Johnny Correa. 2nd place, playing as the Hammer version of D2, Commissioner Drew Madsen. And the winner, playing as the original version of the Rising Sun, Zach Ashley. Congratulations to Zach Ashley for winning the Chibi's Birthday Spectacular. Next Thursday is going to be the 200th episode, edition, whatever you want to call it, of Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. It should be a big event. I'm looking forward to seeing what they end up doing for Thursday Night Fights number 200. We know that's happening Thursday night. I'm not sure what's going to happen this Monday night. I'm not sure if Brian Schmidt is going to be back to run Monday Night Fights or if someone else is going to run it. I don't know if we will have Dojos Tuesday night, but I suspect we will. Twitch.tv/SRGuniverse. We should have Talk of the Universe Wednesday night. I expect we will get a big recap of Gen Con. I think we should also get some news about WrestleCon. WrestleCon, I didn't touch on that earlier. Newark, New Jersey, August 1st, Friday, August 2nd, Saturday. Practice site Jeremy Steigerwald was there running demos, going from memory. Matt Barone helped out. Samuel Torres helped out. And Chris Tomasello helped out. I hope I pronounced those names correctly. Thank you to all of them for helping to run demos of Supershow the Game at WrestleCon. One other thing I forgot to mention, I should have brought this up talking about Gen Con. I did meet briefly Thursday with Chris O'Neill from 9th Level Games regarding the partnership between them and SRGuniverse for the Major Wrestling themed box set, Major Wrestling podcast box set crowdfunding campaign, and their WrestleMania Symphony of the Fight campaign. That partnership is still on. It's still happening. Not only that, I can confirm there will be an Ultra Dracula card for Super Show the Game. I can confirm that the art was sent to Chris O'Neill at 9th Level Games. So that is still happening. I should also be receiving some information from 9th Level Games as we get closer to the launch of their crowdfunding campaign on backer kit for WrestleMania Symphony of the Fight, launching, I believe, one of the first Tuesdays in September. I could be wrong on that. I want to say it's the 16th, but I could be wrong. When I get more information, I will give you that. But that is all the information I have right now about what's coming up next week. The next big thing we're looking forward to is, of course, Grand Gathering, September 18th through 21st, Cleveland, Ohio area at the Westlake. I want to say formerly Doubletree. Tickets on sale on supershowthegame.com. With that being said, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Outlaw Mudcast. I would like to thank all of you for listening, and good day.